Brackets. We're done with all the fraction stuff for now. We've done the adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and I hope you've done lots of practice for that. Now we want to do the expanding brackets, which means I'm going to be giving you questions like these ones down here with brackets in them, and you need to expand them out. Now to do that, we do a process called the distributive law, which is what these arrows at the top are. If I have, it's usually a number out the front of my bracket. To expand the bracket, I multiply it by each thing inside. So I go A times B and I get the AB. Then I follow the second arrow and I go A times C and I get that one there. Okay? Now it doesn't just work with two things in the bracket, it even works with three, which is this second one here. A is out the front, so it needs to multiply by each thing inside the bracket. So A times the B plus A times the C plus A times the D. Now that's the best way we can do it as like a formula to follow, but we don't really do formulas with algebra. It's more of a process that you have to remember. Okay? Yeah, Oscar.
Do I watch the videos?
Keep up with this one first, and then you can go back to those other ones. Okay, so let's practice this. Can you step behind after class, please? All right, expanding out. I have a 2 out the front. So I'm going to go 2 times by the x. Now we know that when we multiply in algebra, that just means that we sit them next to each other. 2x. Okay, that's the first one. Then I have a plus sign inside my bracket, so we write that down. And I multiply the second one. 2 times 3 is 6. And that's it. That's expanding. Let's practice it again. For B, 3 times A. Yep. Means that 3A is what I'm going to get for that. I have a plus sign again in the bracket. And then the second one. 3 times 5 is 15. Now, can I add those? Can I add 3A plus 15? Can I add those? No. The answer is no. Why not? Yeah.
Because of the letter?
That's right. One of them has an A and one of them does not. Remember that they need to be like terms to be able to add them together. So that's as far as we can go with that question. Let's keep practicing. C. I'm going to multiply 5 times 2A this time. So 5 times 2 is 10, and the A sits after it. Then I have my plus sign. Now the second one. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay? Have a go. I'll give you 15 seconds because that's all it will take. Try to do D.
Is it 21 minus?
Pencil sharpener up here.
No, it's fine. It's just crap.
Oh, okay. All right, so you should have had a chance to do that one, hopefully. 5 times 4 means 20y. This time we have a minus sign, but that's no big deal. And then we go 5 times 6 is 30. Did everyone get that?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, I'm going to do E with you because it's got a few more letters around. Just wait for Cash to sharpen his pencils. We're all waiting for you. All right. 3K times M. Now the letters are different, which means they're just going to collect up at the end. So that is 3KM or 3MK. It doesn't matter really the order that you write them in, but we usually prefer alphabetical order. Then we have a minus sign. Now the second one. 3K times 7K. 3 times 7 is 21. And K and another K makes K squared.
And then do you minus that?
No, they're different. Because a KM is different to a K squared. We cannot collect them up.
Miss, what if it was like 3K minus 21 x squared.
No, a k is different to a k squared. They have to have exactly the same letters for you to be able to add them or subtract them. So they'd both just be k's only, just k's.
Oh,
Then they'd be the same.
When they're the exact same letter, do you just then subtract them?
Yes, and we will be collecting some things up in question number 2 down here. Okay, so we are getting to those ones. Okay, F. Be careful if there is a minus sign out the front. Okay, it's going to do some interesting things to your signs. Okay, so let me show you. Minus 2 times 4. Now this is your negative number stuff. Feel free to use your calculator if you're not comfortable multiplying negative numbers. So minus 2 times a positive 4 makes a negative 8. A times A is A squared. Now, don't just write the plus sign down. I have to remember that minus sign is going to do some funny things. So I'm going to multiply minus 2 times a plus 3, which is going to make a minus 6. Okay? So a minus sign at the front of your bracket is always going to change this sign in here. So it was a plus and it now has made that a minus over there. I also still have some letters to put in there. I have an A from the front and a B from in the bracket. Okay, let's practice that again. Minus sign at the front. So minus 5 times 3 makes a negative 15. And I have M at the front and M inside, so that's 2 of them, M squared. Then minus 5 times a minus 2. 2 negatives make a positive. So that's going to make a positive 10 MN. Okay. H. 4x times 2x. 4 times 2 is 8. And x, both those 2 x's become an x squared. Then I don't have the funny minus sign at the front anymore doing tricks on me. So this is just normal. The minus sign is going to stay the same. 4x times y is going to be a 4xy. Okay, so as long as you understand that part, we understand how to expand out the brackets. Now we're going to build on that a little bit more. Question 2 is a little bit harder because we're going to expand out the brackets and then it says to combine the like terms. There are going to be some things that we can collect afterwards. Okay, so for 2a, just like we were doing, expand the bracket. 4 times 3x. 4 times 3 is 12x. Then we have a plus sign. 4 times 2 is 8. Now the 5 that is at the end here, don't multiply that, okay? It's not part of the bracket, it's outside, okay? It's just sitting on the end. So I'm just going to write it again, plus 5. Okay? But now I'm looking for like terms. So a plus 8 and a plus 5, they don't have the x. The other one does, but those two don't. They are like terms. So the 12x doesn't change, but 8 plus 5 makes 13. I collect them up. Okay? So do it in 2 steps. One step is to expand your bracket, and the second step is to collect up your like terms. Okay, let's do it again. First step is expand the brackets. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus, then 5 times 4 is 20t. The 10t is not part of the bracket, so just write it on the end. Okay, so I've expanded. Now I'm looking for like terms, and hopefully you can see that I have 2 t terms. Those ones, they both have a t, so they are like terms. The 15 is not a like term, it's different, so let's leave it there. The ones I've highlighted in yellow, 20 plus 10 is 30, a positive 30, so that's why we do plus 30t. Make sure your t's don't look like plus signs, give them that little swirly tail so they don't look like a plus sign. Okay?
Or you could do capital.
Or, yeah, capital does work. C, we're just practicing. The more you do, the easier it becomes. 4 times 3x. 4 times 3 is 12x. Now a minus sign. 4 times 8 is 32. The 23 is not in the bracket, so write it at the end. Okay, which ones are like terms? Yes, Cash.
32 and 25.
Those ones, that's right. So the 12x doesn't change. Minus 32 plus 23. Remember, see how I've highlighted the minus sign in front? Okay, you got to know it's a minus 32 plus 23. What's that going to equal? Use your calculator if you need to.
Minus 19.
Not minus 19.
9.
Minus 9. Okay, you use your calculator for the negative numbers because they're the ones that tend to trick people. You just go minus 32 plus 23 and it tells you the minus 9. Okay? Better to use a calculator than to accidentally add or subtract your numbers wrong. D, expand the brackets. 2 times 7 is 14. Then a minus sign. 2 times 3 is 6, but there's also a t, so 6t. And the 2t that's sitting on the end. Looking for like terms, and I've got these ones with t's. There's 2 t terms there. The 14 is different. It stays there. This time we have minus 6 plus 2. I'm just taking the numbers in front of those t's. What is minus 6 plus 2?
Minus 4.
Minus 4, good. So minus 4t. All right, E. We're getting a little bit harder again. We've got 2 brackets. That's okay, you can handle it. You just got to do one at a time. So 1 bracket, the first one. 5x times 3. 5 times 3 is 15x. Then a minus sign. 5 times 4 is going to be 20. I had 2 x's though, so x squared. Okay, first bracket is done. We're moving on to the second one. We now want to multiply the 2 with the 6x. Now there is a plus sign there, so let's put that down. Plus 2 times 6 is 12x. And plus again, because a plus sign in the middle of the bracket here. 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, be careful. Which ones are the like terms? Yes, Holly.
15 and 12.
Yes, good. The 15x and the 12x, and I'm highlighting the plus sign as well, they are like terms. And x squared is different to an x, so it is not counted with them, okay? So let's do the ones I've highlighted first. 15 plus 12 is 27x. The other 2 that aren't highlighted, I can't do anything with them, so I just have to write them down. So minus 20x squared and plus 8. Now please remember that 27x minus 20x squared is the same as minus 20x squared plus 27x. Or in other words, when we did these at the beginning of the topic, we've said 5 plus n is the same as n plus 5. So sometimes if you check the answers, you might have written your terms in a different order. That is okay. It is still correct as long as you've got the minus signs in the right places. So the minus 20 was the one that had to be negative here. Make sure the minus belongs with that 20. You haven't moved it to one of the other terms. Okay? All right. F.
22v double.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. Let me do it for everybody. So it sounds like you've gone ahead of me there. That's good. So expanding out. 11v times 2w. So 11 times 2 is 22. And then the letters V, W sit after. Then 11v times 5. Oh, I have a plus sign. Can't forget that part. 11 times 5 is 55. And the only letter I have for those ones is the V. Moving on to the second bracket. Be careful. There is a minus sign in front of that one. So it's like those early ones we did that had minus signs out the front. It's going to do funny things in here. Okay? So minus 3 times 8 is minus 24. But minus 3 times minus 5 is
15.
positive 15. Good. And also the letters. Good. V and a W.
And then 22 and 15.
Yep, so now we're looking for our like terms. Good. So the 22 VW and the 15 VW. They have exactly the same letters.
Those are the only ones.
Yep, they're the only ones. So 22 plus 15 is 37 VW. The other one's right at the end. 55V minus 24. Okay. Is everybody following along with me so far? Is everything making sense? Wonderful. This one here, put a big star next to it. This is my challenging question. Okay? The area of the combined rectangle is 5 bracket 2 plus x. Okay, and you can see that with the diagram that we've been given. The 5 is the height. Okay, so remember to find the area of a rectangle, do base times height. 5 is the height, and you multiply that by that whole side length, which would be 2 plus x, right? Base times that, or base times that height. Okay, multiplying those two things together, that's how they get that expression. All right, part A says, what is the area of the smaller rectangle? So that's the green bit. Okay, so just like I said, the area of a rectangle is base times height. What is the base and the height of the green one? The base would be the 2, and the height would be the 5. Okay, so 2 times 5 equals 10. No algebra in that. That's just normal area stuff. Okay? Part B says, what is the area of the larger rectangle, the yellow one? Okay? So again, the area of a rectangle is BH. What is the base of my rectangle, the yellow one?
X.
X. What is the height?
5.
Good. So I'm going to have X times 5. What is a better way to write X times 5 using our algebra skills? 5X. We put the number first and we put them right next to each other. Can you see it right there? Okay, part C, write an expression for the sum of the two areas. So if I want you to find the area of that whole rectangle, the green and the yellow part together, I would add those two things together, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
So the area is going to be equal to the green one, which was 10, plus the yellow one, which was 5x. So there is an expression for the total area of the big outside rectangle, 10 plus 5x. Now, why are we doing this? Part D tells us why we're doing this. Hence, complete the following. The expanded form of 5 bracket x plus 2 is. Now, we practiced that over and over and over up on the last page. Let's do it one more time. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 5 times x is
5x.
which was exactly what we got here. So expanding out those brackets, we've just shown that we can do exactly the same thing using the area of that rectangle. Pretty cool. It is. Okay, so time for you to practice.